Growing up, I used to love to go crabbing. Lived near Jersey, and on the weekends would go out there during the summer when I was out of school. I could sit for hours on a pier or beach, drop some crab nuts in, fish a little bit. Absolutely loved doing that. I learned some crazy things about crabs, though. These darn things, I figured out pretty quick that once you put them in a bucket or a bushel and it started to fill up, you didn't need to have a lid. Because when one brave crab would get into his little mind that he wanted to get out of that bucket or bushel and started to climb up the edge of it and even would throw one of those claws or legs over the rim and start to pull himself out, the other crabs would instinctively reach up, grab that crab, and pull him back down into their little prison. It happened every time. Rarely would one get out without a lid, because the other crabs made sure that nobody was going to escape. I call this the crab mentality. It happens with us people, unfortunately. I believe for the most part it happens with good intentions. We're afraid for each other. We don't want to see our friends and family get hurt. So we make the mistake of pulling down people back inside the boundaries or back inside the bucket we are at. We have a lot of buckets. We have a financial bucket we live in. We have an emotional bucket, a relational, a family, emotional, and physical. We have these buckets that we live in. And every once in a while we get crazy and we say, I want to expand my bucket. I want to get out of this self-made containment and I want to grow bigger, richer, further, deeper. And as we do, those well-meaning friends and families around us will say things like, "Whoa, Ed, that's a little above your pay grade. Ed, you don't have the education for that. Ed, you don't have the ability or the background. You don't have enough finances to pull that off." I've heard that more times than I can count. We make all these reasons and rationalizations of why, and we allow the other crabs to pull us back down into their world. Some of the crabs do it intentionally because it's fear-based. They don't want to see somebody get out of the bucket because that destroys their reasoning for staying in the bucket. It exposes them to the truth because if you can do it, they obviously can also. It destroys every rationalization and lie they've been telling themselves for years. Be careful of the crab mentality. First, be careful you and I are not one of the crabs. Make sure that we're lifting people up and not pulling them back down. And secondly, if you find yourself in a bucket with crabs, get out. Find a bigger bucket. Get in there with people who are going to help you get out and not hinder you. People who will become a sail and not an anchor. People who will help and not hurt, even under good intentions. And sometimes you need to distance yourself from certain associations because they pull you down. We're not strong enough to lift everybody up. We need help. Find people who are trying to get out of their bucket. Find people who want and have a bigger goal, vision, destiny than the small little containment they find themselves in. Find people who are going to push you and intimidate you a little bit and not pull you down. We learned many years ago, first time it happened to us, we decided to buy a home that was outside of our ability at first. And we were looking at this thing and we were dreaming and we started telling people, our friends and family, what we wanted to do. And almost each one of them said, no, you can't. It's way too much for you. You can't do that. You're not one of those people. You can't afford that. That's just not who you are. And at first it started to destroy us and pull us back down. And we got really full of fear about this. And then we started going and telling different people who could actually help us and say, okay, you're not ready yet, but here's what you do. Here's the steps you need to do. And you can do this. I've seen it done. I've done it. And I can help you get there. And when we started doing that, within 1 year, we got out of our bucket. We got out of being a renter and being a homeowner. Not just being a homeowner, but buying the home of our dreams. And financially being able to do it because people helped us. We found people that could help us, people who are willing to help us out instead of keeping us in. Make sure that you're not a crab. And secondly, and even more importantly than that, make sure you're not in a bucket with other crabs. Find your passion and you'll find your life.